video. Sorry we didn't get one out last Monday, we had production problems. Today we're going to be thinking about how we can spend less without enjoying less on our power costs. Up here we have the power counter for every time I say power. Power. So when it comes to power at home, what we're talking about is how we keep our home running. How does the TV stay on? How does the fridge keep things cool? How does the shower keep going? These kinds of things. So in this video we're going to be looking at 3 different types of power: electricity, gas and water. If you own your own property, you're going to be responsible for ensuring that your home has gas and or electric in it. Now, if you're renting, this may well be part of the deal that you have with your landlord, that you pay them a set amount and that they will manage the gas and electric for you, but you'll have to check the terms of your rental contract to find out if that is indeed the case. It's more rare these days than it used to be, but you might still be one of those few people who can benefit from such an arrangement. Now, the reason I say electricity and or gas is because not every home will have gas in it. Some homes will only have electricity for the heating or for making water hot or for the oven and so on. So the first step is to ensure that you know exactly how your home is powered, and then you can start to figure out how to save some money on that. Now, the biggest thing we can do in order to save some money on our power is to figure out, are we on the best deal? Earlier this month, Which magazine reported that 58% of energy customers have either never switched their energy provider or have only done so once in the last few years. As such, people who have never switched or have only switched once are paying £300 a year more than they need to for electricity and gas. Now, breaking this down, these customers are paying £25 a month more just for the choice of energy provider that they have. So that's some money that we can be saving right there. The first thing we can do is to switch energy providers. Now, with winter upon us,
winter is coming.
You might want to do this sooner rather than later. It's getting colder and therefore we're going to be using more gas or electricity in order to heat and light and power our homes. Now, there's several websites where you can compare gas and electricity prices and gas and electricity providers. There's many links in the description below. But these comparison sites don't just look at the big 6 providers, they look at the breadth of the market, which will feature smaller providers which are newer to the energy market but can also offer perhaps the cheapest deal possible. Remember that several websites will actually pay you money in order to switch to a different electricity and gas provider with that website, so keep an eye out for those deals. And switching can be done really quite quickly. It can be done in less than half an hour. And remember that the gas and electricity doesn't change. The pipes and the wires don't change. It's just the people that you're paying to provide them. So it can be done really quickly and it can save you quite a lot of money. Now, beyond altering who is providing our electricity and gas, we can alter our usage. The video a few weeks ago, which looked at 25 ways that we could save money around the house, had several suggestions that related to power usage, but the principle is pretty basic, and it's this: don't use more power than you need. For example, only fill the kettle with water that you're going to boil now. You don't need to measure the water, you can if you want, but don't boil a full kettle for 1 cup of tea. Appliances that use electricity to produce heat take a lot of power. Use them for as long as you need them, but don't run them unnecessarily. And this includes appliances like electric showers, hair dryers, toasters, microwaves, and electric ovens. Now, when it comes to heating, particularly with winter coming,
winter is coming.
We naturally want to make sure that our houses are warm, and we'll be exploring how to do this next week. So these are some ways in which we can save money in terms of how much we actually use, but we can also save some money in terms of how much energy we waste. Now, like many things in the home and like many things in life, we all have an acceptable margin that we're happy to waste, whether it's mobile data or food usage or whatever. But if we can reduce this margin, then we can save some money here as well. We can do simple things like opening and closing doors to the outside quickly. If you spend an hour heating the house and then you leave the door open, all the heated air will rise and it will rise up into the atmosphere and escape. So this means that when you open the door, all the cold air rushes in and all the warm air rushes out, and you've wasted all that energy and all that money heating the home. So when we close the door again, if you do this, you're going to spend more energy and more money reheating the house. So it's much easier to simply open the door, go out, close the door quickly. We can also use our electric appliances wisely. This can help reduce waste as well. One of the habits that I've gotten into and had to shake myself out of is leaving appliances on when we're not using them. So one example is leaving the television on in order to just have some background noise when you're doing something else. Now, if you have a big television, or a television that has a big screen or uses a lot of power or is high definition or any of these features, it will be producing a lot of electricity. And if you're only using that for background noise, that electricity is being wasted. Now, you can achieve the same aim of having background noise by using the radio, or else having a smartphone or tablet play the same program or play the same background piece of music without using all that electricity on the big television. So these are some quite straightforward life hacks that we can use to reduce our power usage and therefore our electricity bill, but we can also make some more substantial changes to the structure of our homes. Now, these aren't cheap, but many of them have been known to be discounted by energy companies or government subsidies who want to meet their energy reduction targets. And so it might be worth doing an internet search to see if you could be entitled to, let's say, free loft insulation or reduced price double glazing or whatever. So these are the kind of substantial changes that I'm talking about. Insulating our homes, our lofts, our wall space, our windows, making sure that the energy that we are using, the power that we are using, the money that we are spending to heat our homes stays in our homes and keeps ourselves and our families warm. So if we can prevent heat from escaping through the loft space and out into space, or through the walls and through the windows, then our homes will stay warmer in the winter while using less energy and therefore spending less money. Loft insulation makes use of a heat trapping material which stops the heat from going up into the loft and therefore out of the roof and up into space, and therefore keeps it in your home. Cavity wall insulation does the same trick by keeping the heat inside the walls, and triple or double glazing does the same trick for the windows to stop the heat escaping through the glass. And it does so by trapping a thin layer of air between the panels. Now, none of these are cheap, although sometimes you can get them discounted, like I've mentioned, but over the long run they will keep your house warmer. And if you're considering buying a home or renting a new home, you might want to look to see if these features are installed in the home already, and use that to make a decision about whether or not to go ahead and live there. All of these are especially important in winter, as we will be using more energy and more money and more power in order to keep our homes warm. Finally, we're going to talk a bit about water. And although water isn't usually seen as a power source, it is a way in which we keep our homes running. Just try not using any source of water for 6 hours and see how easy that is. Now, we use water in so many different ways: to wash our clothes, to wash our dishes, to wash ourselves, to water the plants, to cook food, and so on. But we can reduce our costs when it comes to water usage. Now, you can't switch to a different water provider like you can with electricity and gas, although maybe that's something that might happen in the future, but you can perhaps save money by having a water meter fitted. Your house might already have a water meter installed if it's a more modern house, but older houses don't necessarily have these in, and as such, if you could save money by limiting the amount of water you use, a water meter would be the way in which you could do that. There's a handy water calculator that you can use to determine how much water you actually use in a week, in a month, and in a year. There's a link to this in the description. And you could use this information to see whether or not you could save some money by using a water meter rather than being on a water rate, which is where you pay a flat amount per month, regardless of how much water you use. As a general rule, having a water meter is good if you use water sparingly, while paying a water rate is better if you use a lot. Now, with many of the things that we've explored today, we have to be wise and not just jump at the cheapest or easiest or first deal. Money maxing needs to be exercised with wisdom, and we must find a balance between the financial costs and other costs that are associated with managing our money. So, for example, we shouldn't be cold in order to save money on our heating bill, or we shouldn't be hungry in order to save money on our food bill. That's not living life to the max. I'll be making a video in the coming weeks about the difference between cost and value, so have a look out for that. But what I would say about energy usage is make sure that we are using the appropriate amount of energy and not using too much, but also not using too little. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for liking. Thank you very much for subscribing. If you would like to share these videos, please feel free to do so. Over the coming weeks, we have many more videos in line to be made, and we're going to be addressing a load of different topics. But if you have suggestions for videos you'd like to see about ways that you could save money, then please leave a comment in the comment section below. Join me next week where we'll be considering how we can max our money in the winter time, and so I'll see you next Monday.